If you've been following my channel for quite some time, or if you follow me on Instagram, I think you'll already know by now that I have a fascination with words. I think fascination is an understatement. I'd make love to words if I could. But since that's something that's not feasible, despite having tried doing so, instead of actually indulging in foreplay with words, I indulge in wordplay with them. And what I mean by that is that my way of giving words the love and care and attention that they deserve is by making a very concerted effort to use these beautiful creatures in everyday conversation, and without trying to blow my own trumpet, I'd like to think that I do a fairly good job of doing so. But I didn't always do a good job of doing so, despite carrying out what every Tom, Dick and Harry suggests doing in order to improve your English speaking, which is to read a lot more and to have more conversations with people. But what I soon realized is that while reading and having conversations with people are all very valid and effective practices, if your objective is to improve your English speaking, they're only half as effective if they aren't complemented by what I'm going to talk about. Just as foreplay is fun, but not as much fun if it's not followed by sex. And that's just not my opinion, but it's also the opinion of some of the best speakers out there whose brains I've been lucky enough to have picked. And no, I'm not talking about this hack, who some of my Indian friends will recognize, but we'll get to who I'm talking about later on in the video. Let's talk about reading first. So very effective if your goal is to improve your English speaking, but not as effective as when it's accompanied by making a note of the words that you come across while reading that you'd like to add to your vocabulary, and then subsequently looking up the meanings of those respective words. Now you're going to tell me, Anubhav, I already do that. Great, kudos to you. What this does is that it improves your vocabulary, but your vocabulary is simply the body of words whose meanings you know, right? In other words, it's your word database. But just because you have an extensive database doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually utilizing the elements belonging to the database. Am I right? I might memorize hundreds or even thousands of words while preparing for the SAT or the IELTS or the TOEFL or the GRE, or in a bid to win the spelling bee like our friends Arvind and Karthik here. But all that memorization doesn't necessarily translate into the use of those words in everyday conversation. And so in order to get more practice using those words during conversations, you'll have to have more conversations, either with others, or if no one is around, and if you're as weird as I am, then with yourself. But that still doesn't cut it, because very rarely do you pleasantly surprise yourself by using a word or a phrase during normal everyday conversation that you've never or hardly ever used in the past. So what you ought to do is seek out different ways of saying the same thing. Let me repeat, seek out different ways of saying the same thing, which is exactly what I've written down in big and bold in my diary, in which I like noting down words, phrases and quotes that grab my attention while reading or while listening to someone speak. So next time you come across a word or a phrase that you'd like to put to use during conversations, make a note of it. If you do not know the meaning of the word, then look it up and write a very simple one-line definition of it. What also helps is writing a sentence that utilizes that word, just so that you have a much better understanding of the context in which that word is typically used. And lastly, but most importantly, think of words and phrases that you currently use very frequently that could be replaced by this new word or phrase that you've just picked up. Now let me give you a couple of examples from my own diary to make things crystal clear. I've recently been using the word efficacy, or its adjective form efficacious, a fair bit, and that's because I recently came across the word, made a note of it in my diary, looked up the definition, noted down a couple of examples of this word being used, and then made a note to myself, use instead of effectiveness, which is a word that we all use very commonly. So now what my brain has done is that it's formed an association between the commonly used word effectiveness and its less commonly used alternative or synonym, efficacy. Humans tend to remember things by association, and so by virtue of this association being formed, what's going to happen is that the next time you use the word effectiveness, you're going to be reminded of the fact that you could have used efficacy instead. But the fact that you were reminded of efficacy, even though you ended up using effectiveness, is a sign of progress. This might happen another couple of times, which will only serve to strengthen the association between the two words. Then there'll come a time when that association is strong enough, you'll think of using the word effectiveness, your brain will recognize the association between effectiveness and efficacy, and then nudge you to using efficacy instead. All of this happening in a split second because of how strong that association has become. Another example, but this time looking at a phrase instead of a word. You know, phrases such as be authentic or be genuine, or you aren't being authentic or you aren't being genuine, are very commonly used. But a little bit of linguistic innovation in the form of using a phrase such as out of character or in character certainly doesn't hurt, does it? And once you've made it somewhat of a habit to note down words, phrases and perhaps even quotes that grab your attention in a diary, what you should do is every now and then you should flip through the pages of that diary just so that you can keep in touch with those words and phrases. I don't do this nearly as consistently as I would like to, but every time I do make it a point to carve out some time to do so, sometimes as little as 10 minutes, I've found that it really serves me well. But while going through the pages of your diary every now and then will certainly help to further familiarize yourself with those words and phrases, what will really help in the use of those words becoming second nature to you is making a very deliberate and conscious effort to use them during everyday conversations. What I recently started doing that you could consider doing as well is to pick 2 to 5 words from your diary at the start of the week, note them down on a sticky note or an index card, then keep that sticky note or index card in a place where it's clearly visible to you, like on your desk or your fridge or your wall, and then make a very concerted effort to use those 2 to 5 words that you picked at the start of the week throughout the course of the week. Since I rarely ever step out of the house, the only 2 people that I have in-person conversations with on a daily basis are my mother and my girlfriend. I visit my mother's room multiple times throughout the day to tell her how vivacious she is, that she's got a stare to intimidate but a smile to embrace, that she's a very obliging mother, and that despite the fact that her son Anubhav is a petulant child, she should know that his love for her is bottomless. To which she says,
"एक नंबर का झूठा."
I do something similar with my girlfriend as well. And even though opportunities to have in-person conversations with people might be few and far between because of the pandemic, that shouldn't dissuade you, because this is something that you can do even while speaking over the phone with someone or during virtual office meetings. Instead of watching your life end 1 minute at a time, sitting through those boring office meetings, try salvaging something from them by using your work colleagues as lab rats or as subjects for this experiment of yours. You know, it's funny, we often describe certain people as having a way with words or being good with words or having what we call the gift of the gab. But just like I stated in this old LinkedIn post of mine, the gift of the gab isn't a gift that some people are lucky to be born with while others aren't. People who are said to have the gift of the gab have all made very deliberate efforts towards cultivating it. I recently enjoyed the honor and the privilege of speaking with 2 absolute legends of sports commentary and broadcasting, Alan Wilkins and Peter Drury, both of whom swear by the approach that I've talked about in this video. Listen in to this very short clip of both of them talking about this approach, after which I'll conclude proceedings with 3 important points to keep in mind when using this approach, and with some good news as well.
Roger Federer has got the most sublime backhand in the world. Now, in a 3.5-hour match, 4 hours, he's going to use that backhand 100 times. So you have to find out different ways of describing that backhand. Otherwise, you're going to become very repetitive. One of the most overused words in cricket commentary is the word beautiful. That's a beautiful shot, beautifully hit. But think of other ways to say it, because if Virat's going to be in and getting 190, you have to think of different ways. It's a sumptuous shot.
I certainly continue to, frankly, use a dictionary, use a thesaurus. If you're articulating 125 football matches in a season, you know, the centre half, the big centre half is going to get up and head the ball away thousands and thousands of times. And if you can find a method to convey the same thing, at least in a few different ways, that is a good thing.
So it's actually the tremendous effort that they put in before every match that they commentate on, something that they've been doing for decades now, that makes everything that they say while holding the microphone seem effortless and like music to our ears. Now coming to the 3 caveats or important points to keep in mind, I mentioned making a note of 2 to 5 words at the start of every week. That's the number that I've begun this practice with, but you don't necessarily have to emulate me. You could pick a number that's higher or lower, and you don't necessarily have to pick a weekly schedule. You could do something daily as well, like 1 to 2 words every single day. Different strokes for different folks, so whatever floats your boat. Secondly, and more importantly, don't feel compelled to find an alternative way of saying every single word or phrase that you commonly use. Sometimes trying to reinvent the wheel is a fool's game, and the same old thing is the same old thing for a reason. Maybe there's no other word out there that captures the essence of what's being described as well as a particular commonly used word does. But as you gain more experience with this practice, your judgment as it pertains to when to reinvent the wheel and when to keep things as they are will automatically improve. And thirdly, keep in mind the audience that you're speaking with as well. Depending on your audience, sometimes it might be a better ploy to actually keep things simple as opposed to using fancy words and phrases, which might make you come across as being a bit pretentious and a bit of a try-hard. With this as well, as you gain more experience under your belt, your judgment will automatically improve. Now coming to the good news, which is that I plan on doing many more videos in the near future devoted to communication skills, since that's by far the most requested topic on this channel based upon all of your comments. So in addition to liking this video and subscribing to this channel, make sure that you have the notification bell turned on as well, such that you can get notified of every single one of my upcoming releases. Do not forget to check out my recent video on overcoming shyness and increasing confidence and self-esteem. And the reason I suggest doing so is that how well you speak on a given day is also a function of how confident you're feeling on that day. And my video not only talks about how to communicate in a more confident manner, but also how to become less shy and a lot more confident in general. And lastly, I'm very curious to know what are some of the ways and practices that have helped you hone your verbal as well as written communication skills. I would love to take a leaf out of your book and adopt methods that have been tried and tested by members of this community. It's been a while since I've done my signature goodbye, so drum roll please. Until next time, take care, stay safe, keep smashing it, and cheers.